Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about how to find the meaning, how to interpret, how to analyze a poem. Now, before I go into the explanation of this, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow and so that I know to keep making more videos. Now, the first thing that you want to do when trying to find the meaning of a poem is that you really need to read carefully. Now, you can say that, oh, I've already read the poem, I've read it several times, and I still don't understand it. Well, what you need to do is figure out exactly how the poem is flowing. And what I mean by that, if there's any words that come up in the poem that you don't know, you gotta look them up. You gotta figure out how they relate, especially poems that are coming from a different, decade, a different century. There are some words that might pop up that you've never seen or you've never seen them used in such a form before. You got to look how they flow together and why they're together. So you got to do some research and how and see the relationship between different words. So read carefully, make sure you understand how each line flows together, and that's pretty much it for tip number one. Tip number two, the thing that you want to do, you want to look at the title of the poem. See, the title of a poem is very, very important because a lot of times the title actually points to the meaning of the poem. One of my favorite poems is War is Kind by Stephen Crane. And the thing is, war is not kind. And throughout the poem, the scenery that pops up really shows you that war is not kind. We see a mother losing a son. We see a lover losing a significant other. We see a daughter losing a father. And none of those situations are kind situations. And we can see that the title is trying to point at that it's a contradiction because war is never kind. People are always dying. Even if a country wins a war, it loses troops no matter what. Every side of the battle line loses troops. Somebody's losing a son, somebody's losing a father, somebody's losing a husband. War is never kind. So that's the thing you want to look at. You want to look at the title. The title does help you understand what the poem means. And sometimes it's not straightforward. Sometimes you have to negate the title because look at War is Kind. Well, war is not kind. So we're negating the title. Sometimes you have to affirm the title. So sometimes you do have to play with the title to see how it applies. And how you do that is by looking at the scenery that comes up in the poem. You have to see what the types of imagery and mood that the author is using, and then you can play with the title and see how it relates to everything. Now, the next thing you want to look at is the mood, the feelings, the emotion. The reason why that poems are popular, they're great for capturing mood. They're great for capturing our emotions. So, is the author of the poem is he or she in a happy mood, a sad mood, in a angry mood? So we have to see where their emotions are at and how it relates to the poem. So really look at the mood because then you can understand if this is going to be a positive poem or if it's going to be a negative poem. And the other thing that I think is very important is theme. So, what is the thing that you keep seeing? What is the thing, the central idea that keeps popping up in different forms? Maybe the author of the poem is trying to give you more examples. So, in War is Kind, we're just gonna keep using that because it really works for this. In War is Kind, we keep seeing different examples, different scenes of war. We see from perspectives on how war affects different people. So we kind of see this idea of war being evil, being unforgiving, being repeated and repeated, and different examples are coming up. So we kind of see that there's this theme going on, this theme of carnage, this theme of disaster, of horrific circumstances going on. So again, Read the poem closely. These are the things that we need to focus on, that you need to focus on when you're analyzing, when you're trying to find the meaning of the poem. You read closely, figure out words that you don't know and how it applies, how the poem flows. That's number one. Number two, you want to figure out the title. You want to play with it, maybe negate it or affirm it. Find some examples in the poem to back up how you're going to relate the title to the poem. The next thing, you want to look at the mood, the tone, the feelings that the poem is giving off. And the other thing is the theme. The last thing I want to add is you want to see if you do see an idea. Let's say the title, you can't find the meaning of the poem with the title. Well, the thing is, what's interesting about poetry, if you can find evidence to back up your idea, right? If you can find evidence within the poem, not in an outside source, but if you have an idea about what the poem might be about, and you can find evidence within the poem about your idea and that supports your idea, that could also be a meaning for the poem. See, poems are not set in stone. There can be different meanings of them, but you have to find evidence within the poem to back up your idea. And the other thing is, you got to make sure you comb through the poem and make sure that there isn't another idea or line that doesn't contradict your idea that you put forward. So you have to really look through it, really look closely. That's the thing about poems. It focuses on on words, on letters, on sounds, on feelings, on moods, to really get an idea across. So to reiterate, it's read closely, figure out what you don't know. Next, look at the title. Then you want to look at mood, look at feelings. Then you want to see the theme, what's being repeated, what's being um, you know um, perpetually, that's something that's like being perpetually spin, or something that keeps popping up within the poem. And the last thing, if you can't find the meaning or the reason or the purpose of the poem within the first four ways, you can look for your own definition, but you have to find evidence that validates your idea. And also, you have to comb through the poem to make sure that there isn't something that contradicts or that really dismiss the idea that you come up with to define the poem. So that's pretty much a general way to approach a poem. There's more, but that's like a five tips, 5 pointers, 5 rules that can get you started to understanding what a poem might be about or what the meaning that the author is trying to get across. I hope that's helpful. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in my next video.